Hey everybody, welcome to episode 12 of Chord Expansion. Today we are going to be talking about fourth voicings. Some people also refer to them as quartal voicings. And basically what we do is we take whatever scale that we're playing in and we stack fourths within the scale to get these really great modern sounding voicings, and we can run them through the entire scale. These kinds of voicings were first popularized by guys like McCoy Tyner, Herbie Hancock, and Chick Corea. And they are great voicings to have in your repertoire of chords, particularly for songs that are hanging on one chord for a long period of time. Kind of gives you a lot of freedom to experiment with a lot of these different fourth voicings and see what you can come up with. So this episode is going to be broken up into two parts. For part one, I'm going to go through all 7 of the modes in fourths, and then part 2, we're going to cover melodic minor, and harmonic major. So we're going to stick to the top 4 strings from the D string to the E string, just like we have been doing for the first 11 episodes. And we're going to do everything in the key of E, okay? And as always, everything that I go over today will be on my Patreon at patreon.com/MikeGaudetMusic. So if you're interested in that and all of the previous episodes that we've gotten up to this point, feel free to check that out. So we will start in the E major scale, Aeolian mode, and like I said, we take our E note, that's the root, and we're going to stack fourths within the scale. So if we do that, we go like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, so we get E and A, then a fourth above that, 1, 2, 3, 4, we get D sharp, and then a fourth above that, 1, 2, 3, 4, we get G sharp. So we'll start with this voicing. Actually, I think I normally prefer to bar my ring there. So E, A, D sharp, G sharp. All right. Now if we take that and run it through the scale, we'll get this. Okay, now one of the reasons why I did it in the key of E is because we can play the open E string and hear these different chords against a bass note to hear what it sounds like. So I would encourage you to go through these and pick out some voicings that work really nicely depending on what tonality that you're going for. So in the case of the major scale, the Ionian mode, pretty much any voicing that doesn't have the fourth in it is going to sound good, and we've talked about why the 4 is kind of an avoid note when we're playing chords in the major scale. So basically the couple of voicings that would work over an E major tonality within these fourths that we just went up would be this. Right, that one sounds nice. Just an E6-9 chord. We can also do this, and we can also do this. Right, so it's a great way to just kind of get a couple of new voicings that you can add to your repertoire. So that is the Ionian mode. Now the second one that we want to do is Dorian. So if we start on E and we go up in fourths, 1, 2, 3, 4, E to A, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, E, A, D, and then from D, 1, 2, 3, 4, E, A, D, G. All right, now if we run up the Dorian mode in fourths, we get this. Voicings like this are great for songs like So What or Impressions or any sort of tune where you're just hanging on a minor chord for a really long time. If you listen to, like the Coltrane version of Impressions, you'll hear these fourth voicings all over the place in the piano. So I would recommend getting as comfortable as you can doing these with Dorian and Lydian first, just so you get kind of the general modes that would cover, major and minor chords in a comping context, and then kind of expand, beyond that into the rest of the modes. So that's Dorian. Now we're going to do Phrygian, E Phrygian. We're actually going to start with the same voicing as Dorian, the E, A, D, G, but then it changes after that. So if we run up E Phrygian in fourths, we get this. Okay, now if we do the same thing but with Lydian, we start on E and we go up 4 notes in the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have A sharp, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, D sharp, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, G sharp. So E, A sharp, D sharp, and G sharp. Now if we run that through the scale, the E Lydian scale, we get this. Okay, now the next one would be Mixolydian. So if we run up the Mixolydian scale and we stack the fourths, we get this. E to A. Now 1, 2, 3, 4. D. 1, 2, 3, 4. G sharp. All right, so this first one is E, A, D, G sharp. And I actually like this voicing for a dominant 7 chord. It's interesting because it has the 4 in the middle and the 3 on top, but for whatever reason, I've always really liked the sound of that because it doesn't really sound suspended with the 4 because we have the 3rd, but just having that major 7 in the middle creates this really interesting sound. And I've found that I can just use this over a straight dominant 7 chord and it sounds fine. Like if I'm doing a blues or something like that, like you can get away with this voicing. So now if we run that through the E mixed Lydian scale, we get this. Okay, now we got 2 more. Now we have the minor scale, or the Aeolian mode, whatever you prefer to call it. So that is going to start with the same voicing that we did for Dorian and Phrygian, E, A, D, G. Now if we run that through the scale, we get this. Alright, and last but not least, we have Locrian. So we're actually going to start with the same voicing that we did for Aeolian, Dorian, and Phrygian, the E, A, D, G voicing. But if we run that through the scale now, we get this, the E Locrian scale. Alright, and like I said, I would get as comfortable as you can doing this in Dorian and Lydian first, since those are kind of the more common ones that you'll encounter in a comping setting, and then from there get more into, do Mixolydian and then do the remainder of the modes, and just try to familiarize yourself with these different voicings and what sort of colors can be created based on, which part of the scale you start on with these fourths. And these are really great voicings to know. I mean, these are used all over the place, particularly if you want to get a little bit more of a modern sound within your comping. So yeah, that is it. That is our episode for this week. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something. And like I said, if you would like access to everything that I went over in PDFs, as well as every previous episode that I've done up to this point, you can go to patreon.com/MikeGaudetMusic. And I will be back in a couple of weeks with part 2, where we will be covering melodic minor, harmonic minor, and harmonic major, where we get some really interesting voicings going up those scales in the fourths. So that's our episode. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you at the next episode. Take care.